Honda is done. They're dead. They're not making any more EVs, except, oh, wait, they might actually be building an EV plant in Canada. By the time this comes out, you'll probably know better. But I went ahead and leaned on my friendly neighbor from the north, Mark from The Tundra Life. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the channel. They cover all things, and he has got dozens of words for snow. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So, Mark, I don't know if you saw this story that you sent to me, but Honda is set to announce a mega EV and battery complex Thursday, according to sources, apparently reputable sources, sufficient that there are quite a few stories covering this. And of course, by the time this video comes out, we'll know the reality. But what's your take?
Brian, I do remember seeing this when I sent it to you. Yes, and this article is a kind of a leak of information. We've been hearing this all week here in Ontario, Canada, that Honda is about to announce a major multi-billion-dollar deal for a new or addition to their current Alliston plant for EVs. The talk has been that this has been in the works now for months as the government and Honda negotiate back and forth, talk incentives, talk taxes, and this is something that that Ontario has been doing quite well in recent history, with attracting other manufacturers to start to build EVs, and Honda is the latest, and it's a big deal. They've been here for 30 years in Alliston, and the talk is they're going to build another plant in close proximity to the first one because of the success they've had here with workers and with being able to sell their vehicles here, and of course being able to ship them to other free trade countries.
Worth noting for those who are not aware, Canada has been building cars for generations. There are a lot of auto plants, largely from the big three, but also others, as we're discussing. This is not a weird move. This is not a surprising move. This is just a move. In recent years, the federal government wooed Volkswagen and Stellantis to build battery cell manufacturing plants by offering lucrative production tax credits similar to what would be available in the US. Those were specific deals negotiated by them. So they weren't just blanket deals like we sometimes see. Do we know anything about that? Let's actually take a look. I've got a link here. Here's how Canada locked down Volkswagen's first overseas EV battery plant. So this is from last year, about a year ago. This is something that's been in the works. We haven't heard about these batteries, I assume because the factory isn't done yet and it takes time to build things.
Correct. This is another win for the Ontario government. Ontario has been a strategic car maker for a long time, as you mentioned. What Ontario has been shifting is they want to be in on the EV revolution. So the government has shifted incentives and tax bonuses for companies that set up and will produce EVs in the province. Because as you know, Brian, Canada is a mineral rich country. We have many deposits of cobalt, nickel. We even have lithium. So the ability to take some of those raw materials, process them, put them in battery packs, and then put them in a vehicle that uses that battery pack is a real win for the workers of the province of Ontario and, of course, other jurisdictions in Canada. And our ability to be able to ship these vehicles to other free trade countries is another win. So we are able to take the raw material, build them into a car, sell the cars, and it allows us to have employment. It allows us to have the technical expertise, and of course, it propels the auto industry forward here in this country.
Now, one thing you just mentioned is the benefits of building the batteries themselves in Canada. Like you said, copper exists, lithium exists, iron. Canada is a very large geographic country. So there's a lot of land area and a lot of resources. It is a resource-rich nation. What are the advantages to building the battery in Canada versus importing it from China?
Well, of course, if you've got a government like the US that's saying if you build a battery in a free trade country or our country, you get a big tax incentive for the purchase of that vehicle. So, guess what? There's a lot of manufacturers scrambling, trying to find resources to build batteries that would qualify for the North American IRA portion of the tax credit.
So if Honda comes out with a, let's say, $40,000 EV, that's pretty good. It's better than what they've made in the past. In the US, that could be, realistically, for most buyers, 32,500. That's a compelling deal.
Yeah.
That's something you would want. We did mention that there are other incentives as well. Let's pull this up. New deal for Windsor EV battery plant worth $15 billion in tax breaks, not cash, tax breaks. This is from last July, and this is a Stellantis slash LG Solution battery plant in southwestern Ontario City. New deal between LG to continue construction on the Nexstar EV plant could be worth up to $15 billion in breaks. Remember, guys, it's not $15 billion in free money. It's usually tax abatement, or in this case, it's probably tax abatement plus the maximum incentives available to buyers. And it would provide up to $5 billion over 10 years. So we're talking $50 million a year. Or no, I guess that'd be $500 million a year. Ooh, that is generous. It's not like the incentive money that the province and the feds delivered to the battery company. We invested $500 million in capital. No, this is like a performance incentive or a tax break. It's not a check.
And for those that don't know, Windsor, Ontario is just across the Detroit River from Detroit. So very close to the big three.
Yeah, you can see it. Maybe not the factory, but you can smell it. No. No, that's the other direction. That's Detroit. But this is an exciting opportunity. Let's see if we've got another good one here.
There's another one of Ford. Ford has gotten some tax incentives to transform its Oakville, Ontario plant to produce some EV lines. So Ford of Canada recently has actually about a year ago, the deal came through. They recently told us that they're delaying it by about a year and a half. But the Oakville plant is scheduled to make Ford's new EV vehicles out of Oakville.
Delays EV production at Canada plant, boosts hybrid offerings. It's a real trick. There's this perverse incentive in the IRA that gives undue weight to hybrids. That's kind of a giveaway to the big three, who have more understanding and competence making a hybrid than they do an EV. Hopefully this normalizes in time. An EV is simpler than a hybrid. It's got fewer moving parts. A plug-in hybrid has the worst of both worlds. It's got the most moving parts, the most points of failure, and I believe that EVs will be cheaper just across the board as battery plants come online throughout North America, and that is what's going to really cause the transition to get into high gear. So yeah, there's some exciting opportunities here. Worth mentioning just briefly that there are purchase and lease incentives in Canada. And as an individual buyer, you can get up to 1 incentive. Businesses can get up to 10, and car sharing fleets can get up to 50. But you could get up to $5,000. And yeah, that's real money at some point, especially if you're only going to keep the car for 4 years. That's over $100 a month cheaper. And for a fleet vehicle, it's very possible that you would only keep it for that long. So
that's another draw, of course, for some of these manufacturers is that you've got a country that's not only providing them with some tax incentive or tax relief, you also have a country that empowers their citizens to purchase an EV at a discounted price, again, pushing sales of their vehicles that they're producing in the country.
And for a lot of people, wouldn't you rather just support local industry, support the people down the street or in your own state who are doing jobs here? This gives you an opportunity. There are a lot of things, I'd love to support my local cell phone maker. I am not able to do that. I don't have a local cell phone maker, but This is a big deal. The new Windsor EV battery plant worth $15 billion in tax breaks. The plant alone would be $3.6 billion in cost, and it would make, in order to get that $15 billion, it would need to make, I'm going to guess, $100 billion worth of batteries. It's big money, and LG is at $5 billion on their investment, and it's going to create 2,500 jobs in 2024. And you could argue, well, 2,500 jobs isn't that many. If 2,500 jobs is all it takes to make $100 billion worth of batteries, that's pretty amazing and incredible stuff. There's some real mind-numbingly terrible jobs in factories that no longer exist, and that's a good thing because those just crush your soul. And if I wanted my soul crushed, I would have gone into supporting this stuff professionally, because these some of these fossil fuel companies will pay top dollar. They've got what, $100 billion a day in profit to buy misinformation, and unfortunately, with the second mortgage I already have on my soul, it's just not worth their investment to hire someone like me. But I did get a pretty good rate on it, so I'd refinance, but souls just aren't going for what they used to. Anything where I guess in the comments I would ask people, what kind of EV incentives do you think would actually make sense? What would be fair to everybody, and what would you give me for my soul? Because it's got to be worth something.
Keep in mind, there's a second mortgage on that soul, so
you would be a third position lien holder. That is, just something you have to accept. This is part of the EV transition. You knew I was going to loop back to it. You were waiting. You've been on enough of these shows. We have fun, because when we don't have fun, it starts to feel like work. And if this is work, I'm not getting paid enough. That's for sure. Mark, is there anything we're missing about this big news? And this, by the way, is good news. VW, Ford, Honda, Stellantis, all looking to build EVs for the North American market. That would be the US, that would be Canada, that would certainly be Mexico, that would be all of North America, with domestically sourced minerals, with local labor. This is great, right?
that's fantastic news. Like the more that we can build locally in North America, the better it's going to be for all of us in jobs, in lifestyle. All of it gets better. Selection, it's all there. So looking forward to these deals, and of course, many more future deals coming down the road.
Once you've got a few people doing it, it makes it so much easier for everyone else to follow, especially when they see if these factories are not building batteries for exclusive use, that means there could be more batteries available for others as well. And at the very least, they can see that there is domestic competence in manufacturing these things like batteries. So what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? All that. And a question in the comments for everybody I would ask is, which cities in Canada have you visited? Because I've only really been to the ones on the West Coast, plus Regina. Yes, folks, look it up. That is a real city. Head to Montana and hang a left. So ways to support. By the way, you can help me out for just a couple more days if you place an order. Using my referral link, I will get some points I can use for supercharger miles and things like that. But you can also support on Patreon, YouTube, X, all that good stuff. And if you guys wouldn't mind, if you would do me a favor, if you would head on over to the Tesla Life and check them out. They do a great podcast every week, plus some extra videos. They're at like 356 now. Yeah, 356 episodes weekly. It's fantastic stuff. It's all the news you missed, and it's a great way to just feel like you're hanging out with people. And they've got a live chat, so you can actually interact. And if you have questions, that's, I would say, probably the channel with the highest likelihood of being able to answer your question, both due to the time format and the fact that there's 3 of them. You're going to get good information and have access to it. You're coming out ahead. Just do it. So everybody else, like, subscribe, smash your own thumbs if you must. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I just appreciate you being here. And stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the other side of the border.